there were no Hyksos enslaved in Egypt at that time.
Okay, now I will ask you.
Hyksos invaded and they were ruling in a certain part of Egypt during that time. When the Israelites are saying that they was enslaved there, that these same Israelites was maybe the Hyksos, the historical record documents that the Hyksos was actually the enslavers.
Now, watch this. When you read the text, it doesn't say that they was enslaved for 200 years. It says that they was in Egypt for that long. Mm-hmm. Now, what I'm saying is, now that we've established that the biblical, we can't rely on the biblical version of those events because there was no biblical version at that time. We got to accept that. So now the only record we have of that time period got to come from the Egyptians. And what the Egyptians are saying is that these Hyksos had invaded the land and that they were ruling in the northern part of Egypt. I would say that that's not necessarily true.
That's the only record. That's the only primary.
I would say that we got
have.
record that the Hyksos were brought in as captives.
According to who?
According to the ancient documents of Kemet.
What document?
I have to get it for you.
I got right now, and I'll pull it out if the conversation go there. One of the pharaohs that fought against the Hyksos was a man named Kamos. On Kamos' Stela, he documents his wars against the Hyksos to push them out of the land. You even got historical archaeological evidence of Hyksos rulers.
So you have Hyksos, you got the Hyksos in Kemet, right?
Yeah, of course.
So the Hyksos, after they had their wars or they ruled in Kemet or they did whatever they did in Kemet, what happened to those group of people?
They got kicked out.
Now, when they got kicked out, what is the record from them from here on out?
It's not Exodus.
I'm asking, what's the record?
Okay, the pharaoh that kicked them out was Amos the first.
Okay.
He took on the battle that his older brother took on Kamos, that their father had took on, because like I say, the Hyksos was in the land for several hundred years.
Okay.
So after Amos the first kicked them out, they went back into that area where they came from. That same Palestine, Israel, Canaan, whatever.
So the Hyksos went back to that area.
Yeah, that's where they got pushed back off to. And that's why in the 18th dynasty, that's what started the 18th dynasty. The 18th dynasty was started when Amos the first kicked the Hyksos out and Egyptians got back total rule.
Now let me ask you this. You just said the Hyksos got kicked out and they went to a land of Israel.
Well, they went to that area that we're calling
Israel.
Yeah.
So wouldn't that be the exact replica that you see in the book?
But get what I'm saying,
war to Israel.
But wait a minute, get what I'm saying though. Get what I'm saying.
Okay.
These Hyksos were rulers.
I'm not denying that.
And so if the Hyksos were the Hebrews were not enslaved.
Well, let me ask you this. You say that they was rulers.
Yeah.
Now you saying Moses doesn't exist. I believe Moses do exist. What was Moses considered? Who was Moses?
Hebrew.
And he was a
Israelite.
No, he was a king. I mean, he was a son of the Pharaoh.
Oh, yeah, according to the biblical story.
According to the biblical story. So you have a son of a Pharaoh, which will be considered royalty. Okay. Do we agree? Now, this person...
have the names of the Hyksos rulers. None of them were Pharaoh. I mean, none of them were Moses.
Yeah, exactly. No, Moses is just American English.
But
Moses means nothing.
Nothing like Moses.
Okay, I give you that.
You got.
But I want to. You got someone ruling. You got a royalty. You got several of them. But you got Moses. Then you got them leaving. Then you got them going to Israel. Isn't that literally the timeline that you read between Genesis and Exodus?
But do you see how contrastly different the stories are?
Oh, I get that. I get that. I 100% get that.
So do you? Okay.
But do you agree that timeline is Kemet kicked out Israel? Do you agree even on the Egyptian side that's what happened?
I'm saying, of course, those Hyksos people could have been a part of the group of people who eventually became the Israelites. The Israelites came out of those people that were living in
Now,
Canaan.
according to you, Matt, you're saying that those Hyksos people actually dwelled in Israel.
Well, it was no Israel at that time.
Well, in the land that we call Israel today, in that area.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about when we talk about the Hyksos being in Egypt.
I'm saying around 12, 13.
No.
But have you ever heard of the Maranatha Steel? I don't know how to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Miriam Patah Stella.
The Medicine Stella.
They're saying that's the first time Israel was mentioned.
Around 1200.
So I'm trying to
The
figure
Hyksos was there about 300 years before that. But what I'm saying is that, okay, we've already given up the ground that there was no, you have no Bible, no Torah, no Genesis, no Exodus.
You only got people.
No, that's not what I'm going. You have no story that you find in the Bible written at that time. What you have is people between 3 and 500 BCE saying that they were enslaved and this is what happened. That's all you got.
Okay.
Now what I'm saying is,
I agree with that.
What you do have in Egypt, you have what's known as primary sources, documents that was actually written at that time that you can prove were written at that time. See, you
Now,
don't have to, wait a minute,
this.
slow down. Let me
Go
finish
ahead.
the
Go ahead.
point. See, you've already given up the ground that you don't have no Hebrew that date back to that time, but we got Medu Netta that date back to that time.
Exactly.
And the primary sources say that these individuals came in as invaders. And what happened later is, if they are those people, they told the story in a totally different way.
And the Egyptians. This is so great.
So either they were
This-
invaders or they were slaves. I mean,
It really ain't no either or. It's only one primary source.
Now,
documentation
when
that
you say
have.
primary source, let me ask you this. Primary source means what?
it was
That means
actually
it's that
written,
side of the story, right?
No, that's not what primary source
Now,
means.
do you have another source to confirm what your primary source is saying is true or false?
Who would you have?
Okay, so
Didn't
what
have
you're
any-
telling me is that the conquerors are the ones that won,
No,
actually telling the
enslaved.
story.
They said that they were defeated, brother.
The Egyptians said that they were defeated.
I just told you that the Hyksos ruled in the land. That's the
Okay.
story that they tell.
Now, but you're getting your story from the Egyptians, right?
Yes.
So, are you saying that the story that you're getting from the Egyptians is 100% accurate and true?
It may not be 100% accurate, but it's at least 98.
Okay, I give you 98. Okay, so in this story, you have a group of people called the Hyksos that ruled, that got kicked out.
I tell you this.
But you said they got kicked out, so obviously they
wait
won a war,
in
right?
In the Egyptian story, you got archaeology that bags up their story.
Oh, I agree.
Wait a minute. No, wait a minute. So if the Egyptians say that it was a Hyksos ruler named Apepi that came from that they call Asiatics, that came from the east,
Okay.
ruled in a certain portion of Egypt, and I show you a scarab beetle with the name of that same Hyksos ruler that the primary documentation says.
Speaks
I
on.
got documentation written,
Okay.
and I got archaeological evidence to
Yeah.
confirm the story, while the biblical narrative has neither.
But the
So-
biblical
so-
narrative, wait a second, hold on. But you said that your Egyptian storyline has something happen, some type of conflict, because they got kicked out.
Who got kicked out?
The Hyksos, you said that they left.
Yeah.
Now, did they leave because, we're tired of y'all, we gone? Or did
It
they
was a
get
war-
kicked
it
out?
was- it was
so-
wars.
So now we got a war that happened. And you're saying that those Hyksos lost the war because they got kicked out,
Yes.
and they went into the land of Israel.
That we know as Israel today.
That's we know as
Yes,
Israel.
They went into that area. Yes.
And you're telling me that that's not a biblical account? I don't know what. I mean, that's literally the exact same thing that the biblical
So the
account
Bible,
saying.
so where in the Bible?
It don't go into
Wait a minute.
details like what
no,
you're saying.
No, you just said it was a biblical story, so now I got to challenge that.
Okay.
Show me a biblical verse that says that they went in and a man named Apepi ruled in the northern kingdom of Israel. Show me that in the Bible.
I'm not gonna show you.
So it's
I'm
not a
gonna be
biblical
able to
story.
No, I'm not gonna be able to show you no names.
So you're doing the same
Hold
thing
on.
that I
But-
said we was doing with the
hold on.
prophecies. You
For
trying to apply
archaeological
that.
evidence. Do you agree that there are chariot wheels and stuff found at the bottom of the sea?
Maybe.
That was
I know. I've heard of it. He showed it to me. He
Yeah.
showed it to
I
me.
know what you're
So
saying.
I'm not
Maybe
gonna
because you
argue
didn't see it
with.
with your eyes.
No, I'll say yes. Okay, yes.
Well,
Chariot wheel at the
they
bottom of the sea, no
the
problem.
style of wheel. I don't know why, if it was because it was plated with gold or because it had 6 spokes or whatever. They dated to a certain dynasty. So I'm not.
Okay.
I don't know the timeline on all that.
I'm gonna be honest, man. I don't have to have a exact rendering. I agree with you.
So
I can go by your
those are
account.
two different stories, though. I can't let you say that it's the same story. I can't let you do that.
But you're saying, I'm
Can't
saying,
do
this
that.
is what I'm saying. A group of people came into Kemet. You're saying a group of people was in Kemet. You're saying they was ruling. I said they came in.
You saying they got kicked out. I'm saying they got kicked out.
70 souls went in. I'm saying a group of people, more than 70 souls, that were not saying that they were descendants of Jacob, that were not saying that they was related to a man named Joseph, who came in not running from some type of famine as 70 souls, but came in as a group, a military band, came in warrior fashion, took over a certain portion of Egypt and ruled in that area for a couple 100 years. It's two totally different stories. So now what you have to say is, so now what we have to look at is, okay, which story is more likely true? So
And I can easily say your story is most likely true.
It's the only one you can say
But
is
you
most
have
likely
to
true.
say, at the end of both of our stories, we're in the same location with the same group of people.
But why is it two different stories?
Well, let me.
It shouldn't be.
Is this feasible? Is this
Because
feasible?
one of the stories ain't true.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Was Egypt a
but
superpower
it shouldn't be
already?
like that. You know what I'm saying?
Like, I mean,
Yeah.
a stronghold in
Yes,
the world.
Egypt was
how
a
did
very.
How did a group of shepherd kings come in and kick Egypt? What? I don't. That's the only thing that makes me think invaders. You don't call them invaders. I mean, I don't see nobody coming in Egypt and climb what they call destroying. You know what I'm saying?
A small group.
They said,
Okay, but they still took over a portion of Egypt.
Yeah.
this could be my bias, but in my mind, I would write it down as invaders too, because I don't know my grandkids think.
That's why I'm asking you. Can we solidify
Wait a
and
minute.
make it?
So-
Because if you say
mean,
that mine,
so you mean that a group of people can lie about their history to give a particular impression? Is that what you're telling me?
you sound like those Israelites and Egyptians.
Wait, is that what you're telling me?
No, what I'm saying is,
Because
I
if you can assume that the Egyptians will lie about the story, why couldn't these Hebrews lie
they
about the
gonna
story?
lie about it. They gonna write
Why
what they
couldn't
want to
they lie
write.
about the story?
I don't disagree with you. But what-
Especially when the only record we have of their version of the story came 1,000 years later.
And watch this, Matt. I'm agreeing with you. I 100% agree with you. I can't argue over small details or large details. I can't say you right or wrong. I can say more than likely your version is correct. And they took your version and sprinkled some salt and pepper on it. But I got to say, at the end of my version and your version, Israel got cranked up and it went that way. I mean, you're saying that those group of people, whether it was 10,000 that went in, or whether it was 70 that went in.
But you don't want to say that though, because if you say that, you're gonna lose a lot more ground.
Now wait a second.
You're gonna lose a lot more ground, and
Now,
I
wait a second.
want to stop you before you do.
No. I got my chest out on
Okay,
this one.
I can
say,
brother, if the story in the Bible ain't true, you know what we just did.
wait a second. I never said that
I
it
know you
wasn't
didn't.
true.
You can't.
I'm saying that
You can't.
if your story is true and mine is false, if my story is true and yours is false, no matter what, at the end of that story, we both land. Well,
But in
I
one
claim
story-
both land in Continental.
I'm not disputing that historical validity.
Okay.
But if the story didn't happen exactly how the Bible says that it happened, you know what we lose, right? We lose the beginning of the conversation with these prophecies that Moses supposedly came up with.
How do we? But see, your story.
How do we lose?
But watch this. Your story doesn't get involved with the Hyksos people. Your story continues on with the Egyptian people. Now, from the Hyksos people becoming a Israelite nation, we can no longer rely on the Egyptian text because we're gone from Egypt. So now we will have to figure out, okay, with Moses, because the Moses and the prophecies and the curses, they came outside of Egypt. Now we got to figure out, Moses, where you getting this stuff from?
We just the whole prophecy narrative just went by the wayside.
Why would you say it went by the wayside?
Because that was them leaving from Egypt. They crossed the Red Sea. You feel what I'm saying? Moses taking his people. Then they went to Mount Sinai.
Based on both accounts.
No,
Okay.
no, they never went. No, the Hyksos never went to Mount Sinai and got divine revelation from God. That's the thing.
But what makes you think that they didn't do that? What Egyptian will write about what they done after they left Kemet?
There's still however you say that I forgot the word starts with an M.
Miriam
It's
top.
Miriam Patak step. Steel. I thought it was called steel.
Yeah, you can see, you call it that STELE.
It's,
Yeah.
it's saying that Israel's seed is no more.
Mhm.
So basically, even if that's not true, even if Israel continued, they ended the story like that.
Yeah, the Egyptians doesn't go into detail what happened to those group of people after that. Now, when you say somebody got a divine revelation, I mean, of course I can say that person is lying. Egyptian can say, no, nobody got divine revelation over there. How would they be able to prove?
I see. I get where the misconceptions is coming in. Okay, again, the biblical narrative is they went to the wilderness, they wandered for 40 years. Moses got the Torah. Then they went, scouted out the land of Canaan, and they went and conquered the land of Canaan.
And went in from there.
What I'm saying is, after Amos the first kicked them out, that started to 18th dynasty. And successive pharaohs after that, you don't want to know what they did, fam? They went into that same area, and that area was vassal during the time where Moses got his revelation and Joshua was conquering the land of Canaan. That land was ruled by the Egyptians. They didn't just kick them out and then sit at their borders. They went to find wherever these people came from, and they went and kicked butt, and they subjected the people in that area under Egyptian rule. There was no Joshua scouting out the land and then the Israelites taking the land of Canaan, because that land became vassals to the Egyptian empire. The Bible does not say that they took the land of Canaan, but they were still under the rule of the Egyptians, but that's what the historical record bears out. That's what I'm saying. Once, and if you notice what I'm trying to do when we're talking about the history is, when you take it step by step, you're gonna lose ground the further you go.
Okay. Let's deal with that. So we got Israel leaving Kemet, and we got now the Egyptians is ruling the land of Jericho, right? During that time.
Yeah, they made them. They extended the empire of Kemet to include those areas, and they made the individuals in those areas pay tribute. One of the most famous, you got it, Thutmose III. Thutmose III is probably one of the most famous rulers of the 18th dynasty. We talking around 1400 or so BCE.
So
kicking butt in that area. He was kicking tail.
Could Israel have been doing their thing under the Egyptian rules radar?
What you mean?
Couldn't Israel been doing their thing without?
We already established that they Hyksos at this point.
But my brother Coy just brought up that Israel was there. He just brought up.
He talking about after the Hyksos got kicked out in like 1500 or so. He's talking about it like 300 years later.
So they would. You would say that they was actually born, and they ended up taking them all out, right?
He took out who out?
I would say that according to that steel that Coy just brought up, they did away with Israel.
Yeah. Well, that's what he claimed. That was some of the people that was fighting.
Okay.
That's what he claimed. He said they seed was no more. Yeah.
They seed was no more. Okay. So if they seed was no more, that's literally lining up, because Israel went to the wilderness and then they didn't come out of it.
When did they? But that's 300 years after the Hyksos day.
This is some good stuff. I'm not gonna lie, man. I gotta get more into the details, into the numbers. But you looking at it, and by right, you're supposed to be looking at it that way, and you got very valid, great points that the biblical narrative is not lining up. I'm looking at it as the foundational stories are lining up, and it's coming in conflict with your details that you got based upon that time period. But I'm saying that the foundation, which is the people, the Exodus, the war, I'm saying that it's all lining up. And you're saying based on the details, yes, the foundations line up, but the details don't.
Yeah, but only because, I see exactly what you're saying. Right? I get that. Yeah. Yes, of course, it's plenty of similarities there. I don't dispute that.
I'm not gonna sit up there and say that That they didn't steal the story
But
that they got from you.
But my interest in it is what I'm doing is I'm going back to the curses because my new thing is how can we verify that these curses came from where they say that it came from? Yeah,
Deuteronomy 28.
Because now this has to be scrutinized. If we were told that it was originally given to Moses in Hebrew, we figured out, oh, that wasn't possible. And then we realized we don't even have no autographed copy of it, not autographed sign, but I'm saying from
We
that
got
time
nothing
period.
original.
If it was written like late after why should I put so much stock into this prophecy? What is it about these prophecies that should validate it to me? Why should I base what's going on in history with me off of this prophecy? What makes this prophecy so valid? What makes these curses so valid?
Now, do you
If we don't
believe
even
that
have provenance for them.
do you believe that the history and the present state of the black man is unique? It's nothing like it in any other group of people?
Yeah. I can agree that what we're going through, I don't really see that happening to nobody else.
Now, I will say, I can't 100% rock and say that the Deuteronomy 28 applies to the African American man here, the African American man there. I can't say that, but I can say that it's something unique about this group of people. Now, I'm not gonna sit up there and say the Deuteronomy 28 applies to me, but I will say Deuteronomy 28, according to the Tanakh, the Old Testament, has happened to that group of people, according to the story, more than one time. Now, African Americans, for the most part, would say that we're going through that now. And you're saying, no, we're not going through that. The Europeans came and whooped our butts and they enslaved us.
That's why I'm saying that it's important to identify the curses. The curses ain't just slavery. Because like Brother Ricky would say, well, everybody been enslaved, all kind of slaves, you know. The curses
the
ain't
Irish.
The Irish have been enslaved. The curses ain't just diseases, but he did say, I would bring all these diseases that you haven't even seen in Egypt that's not written in this book. Who is the people with the highest population of AIDS or whatever? Us, for the most part.
So,
there's many different curses, and when you look at all of them, one says we will be a byword and a proverb amongst all nations. Whereas one group of people all over the planet, they got a word for us, whether it's nigger, whether it's mayate, I don't know the other words. All I know is Spanish and English, but everywhere you go, they got a word for your black behind.
now, when you
Who's
say,
to say, is there a timestamp on the prophecy? Like when it's supposed to be fulfilled?
To your seed forever. Like it should be an identifying sign for the rest
So
of your
how do we
generations.
know in 1,000 years somebody may not fit it better than us?
and that prophecy, if that happens, that's why I never say I can self-identify with that particular prophecy. I would say if someone can identify in 1,000 years from now that that's them, I would say that, yeah, that's them. It matches them. So if I say, you know what, Matt, your generation, you're not gonna never own a car again. You're gonna always wear sandals and blah, blah, blah. Now, that doesn't necessarily only apply to you. It might be it might be another white man that his generation never own a car or wear shoes. But when you read that prophecy, you're gonna be like, well, damn, my great-grandfather, my grandfather, me, we never owned a car. My son never owned a car, and I've always wore sandals. So when you say, by reading that looks like me, you can't say it's me, but it's like, well, damn, this was written long before I was born, and it's describing me to a T.
I mean, it could be coincidence, even if it doesn't.
I will agree with you. It could be 100% coincidence.
That's just a case like we're talking about Luke, where Luke prophesies, or Luke has the Jerusalem being surrounded by armies. I think that's only in Luke, but we know Luke was written after 70 AD, so it's like that brother had a little insight. He just wrote that in. And that's when you're talking about a case like that. If Deuteronomy was only written 200-300 years ago, yeah, they full of crap, man, because you already seen it coming, or you were living during the midst of it happening. But if we can prove it's at least, even if it's not as old as we think it is, if we can prove it's
At least 1,000 years old.
before any of this happened to our people, then we just mirroring
Okay, watch
ourselves.
this. Do you think the curses that you identified can apply to the black man and woman in America? All right, follow me with this. this.
Yo.
Was it? Even if it was just two of them, you believe it was some Africans that was born here and are now part of these black men and women in America. So wait a minute. So there right now, there are Africans who those curses could apply to. But so that's what I'm saying. So do you accept that you could be mistaken about who the curses apply to?
Yes.
You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
If you say the curses, if you look at the condition of the black man and woman in America right now, and we fit those curses, these curses. And if I say, okay, was it anybody else that was brought over here with us and is subjected to the same stuff we subjected to? And if you say yes, then I would have to ask you, is it possible, based on that group of facts, that you can apply those curses to anybody?
Anybody who's
That fits them, yes. I believe that if the Chinese man fits them, you can apply it to
That's
him.
what I'm saying. If we know that Africans are over here,
Yes.
right? If we know that Africans are over here, and you make a blanket statement that the people that are over here, the black man and woman, they fit those curses, right?
That's-
Wait a
that's-
minute. And then you are taking a leap by saying, because it looks like they fit those curses, they have to be these people.
Those ancient
But
Jews.
reality says that these people could be strictly Africans caught up in the mix. You're making a leap when you identify somebody based off of a condition that multiple people
Have been
are
in.
subjected to. It's no way to say that because of our condition we have to be Jews if we've already admitted that more than just Jews came over here enslaved. You gotta admit it.
I don't disagree with you on that. I believe without a shadow of a doubt that you can't base that you are in covenant or Israelite just based off of slavery. No man.
But that's the key point that's used to identify us as
Yes.
these people.
because they
Yeah.
use it
But it
because
doesn't stand up to.
I disagree
it
with the way
doesn't
they
pass
use
the
it.
smell test.
No, it doesn't.
They use it because of specifically the word ships. That's how they tie it to us. They say we came on ships.
Africans did too, fam.
I'm not saying because even if Israel was its own nation when it got captured, the strangers were still living amongst Israel. So
How do you know?
Let me go hit this restroom.
How do you? Okay, and
So
this is real.
if they went back east when they left out of Egypt, how did the hell they ended up way in West Africa?
that was after the Roman invasion. They ran to the
All
hills.
good questions.
That's
But I'm saying if you can't prove when these curses was written, who wrote these curses, and under what conditions they wrote these curses under, and if you don't know who supposedly copied these curses, why would you put and you know that these curses could arbitrarily apply to more than one group of people? Why would you put so much weight on your identification based off of this curse?
like, as in, is it valid or not valid based on these things, or what are you saying?
Like, why would you identify yourself on a curse that could be applied to a Jew, an African?
If the curse was only slavery, if that was only like you're gonna be enslaved, then that wouldn't be much. But we got from verse 15 to verse 68, there's at least 20 something curses. These are specific curses.
But what I'm saying, let's say I'm a Jew, and let's say you're African.
Just, you just go for 15.
But
just,
do you believe that every black man and woman here now is
I ever seen a black man, no, because my wife is minister that
so you can apply these curses? So the curse, what I'm saying is the curse isn't enough to identify, or any of
you
those
look at 'em
curses aren't
as a
enough to
whole,
identify somebody.
if you look at them as a whole, that's why I was saying we have to think curses. We always just think, oh, slavery, oh, you're gonna be slaves. That's not it. It's a lot more to it. There's many different things that, and when you look at all of them, they all seem to point to one specific people.
That's what I'm saying. Us.
We're the only ones on the planet who have this question mark as far as culture.
But we are a mixed group of people.
Yes.
That's the point. It's Africans. It's Africans that was brought over here, subjected to the same stuff: the vile word, the curse, the being sold, all of that. And then, just honestly, do you know when these curses were written? Do you know who wrote these curses?
How we gonna teach these people? And he's like, I'm gonna give you unction, and you're gonna write down everything. So that was my explanation to him. Why does it say? And then Moses said, Moses was supposed to write that. I said, well, this was oral tradition that was written down. According to what I believe, we're talking about an African group, African people, so they would have shared.
I'm not disputing. Okay, do you believe that people have mythology? That cultures create mythology? Do you see any mythology in the Bible, or do you see it as all historical reality?
And see, now we're dealing with my beliefs. I think it's reality. You know, I think there was actually water before the earth was formed. You know what I'm saying?
So do you think every culture on the earth besides the Israelites dealt with mythology? Everybody else but them?
No, I think people dealt with things partially what they knew, partially what they believed. Kind of have, that's a good question. I don't know how I would consider Israel believing in mythology. Besides just
No, I'm saying any mythology in the book. Not saying everything is mythology or everything is historical, but what I'm saying, I don't see how you can apply a historical aspect to every single thing that was said when we don't even know who wrote it or when, and we know that ancient people dealt with mythology to explain their situation. Even the stories itself, if it tell you about this bloodline from Jacob, but then it tell you that they came out of Moses as a mixed multitude, right there, it's some confusion, because it can't be a historical legit bloodline if it's also telling me about a mixed multitude.
Yeah,
Some
well,
of it
even-
has to be a mythological concept.
Well, see, I think the more ancient we go, you were able to identify. Because even the scripture said, well, this child was an Egyptian, he was the son of an Egyptian, or whatever. Like, they were able to identify the farther back we go. I think when we think mixed multitude, we think of the melting pot. And unless we can prove that Egyptians had all kind of different nationalities living there that would have left with the Hebrews, you know, I think the mixed multitude was just simply Hebrews and Egyptians.
That's
That's what you're saying.
That's the point. But after it says that, it speaks of the 12 tribes as being, these people are direct descendants to Jacob.
But
When you just said that some of them are Egyptians that are not.
It distinguishes between
This-
that's what I'm saying. The more ancient Israel we talking about, it makes distinctions. Say this dude was an Edomite. This dude, it might have been amongst Israel, but it didn't call him Israel. You have distinctions in the Old Testament that'll say he's an Edomite, or he was whatever, Egyptian or whatever. It'll tell you their nationality. But now when you get closer,
So does it say that the children of Israel wandered in the wilderness?
yeah, I see what you're saying. The nation.
It says that was the nation of Israel that wandered in the wilderness. Well, we've already established that was not the nation of Israel, even according to the
The
story.
nation at least.
But what I'm saying is, it will tell us that this is Israel after it's already told us that it's not Israel.
I want to call it the mixed multitude. I see what you're saying. I see what you're
Because
saying.
it say that the Israelites wandered in the desert, but it just told us that it wasn't all Israelites. That's why I started off talking about that whole conversion thing, because I think what makes it difficult is we think everywhere we see the word Jew, or every time we see somebody referred to as an Israelite, we automatically talking about that it's tied to some bloodline. When that, to me, and I'm, and I know you got the faith, and I'm not, we just build it. What I'm saying is that bloodline concept, that is the mythology of those people. Every people in ancient times had a mythological concept of their beginnings. Even the Egyptians, they say Saul was the first king. Was he? The Romans, they say that they go back to Remus and Romulus. Do they? The Greeks talk about Zeus having kids with. Do they really go back to these people? And so then we see Israelites in history at a certain point down the line, but do they really tie back to an Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, even according to what's in the story that we have? Do they really tie back to that? Or was that their way of writing their origins in a mythological setting, like every other ancient culture in the world?
Is it unprecedented that these people were monotheistic? I want to say they were one of the first groups of people in the earth that were monotheistic.
Oh,
No.
The Israelites.
No.
the Egyptians was monotheistic.
Yeah,
They
the
were
Israelites
monotheistic. They didn't have gods for
It
different
wasn't the
things.
first.
Oh, the Egyptians? Yes, they both narratives is true.
Have you ever heard of Yahweh and his Asherah? You know in the historical record, those people that we call the Israelites, Yahweh had a wife.
I heard something about that.
You know what I'm talking about,
That's
don't
the
you?
Queen of Heaven.
I heard something about that.
You heard. So what I'm saying is, even when you look into the historical record, they themselves, you have doctrine, right? And then you have what people are really doing. You understand what I'm saying? You can take what people are saying it should be, but what they're saying it should be may not be what it is. You feel me?
Yeah,
Because
the study of what we have now, we have to say, like,
wait, boy, you just came in on something, so I want you to
okay,
talk about what we going into is there any mythology in the Bible, or is it all historical fact?
the mythology, in my opinion, is